And welcome to the Weekend Jazz Update with Yashani Selva. On this week's episode, a trumpet legend and composer Arturo Sandoval. Sandoval is one of the musical icons of this day and age, known for his genre-fusing music and trailblazing innovations in Latin jazz. As a trumpeter, he is unmatched for his technique and virtuosity. He is known for his range on the instrument, even able to handle complex melodies with ease. His versatility is legendary, mingling Latin, Afro-Cuban, classical and bebop influences into his music. Sandoval was born in 1949 in Cuba. At an early age, he took up trumpet playing. He was mainly inspired by Dizzy Gillespie, whose pioneering work in fusing jazz with Cuban musical influences deeply inspired Sandoval's own artistic vision. Sandoval went on to win 10 Grammys, 19 Grammy nominations, an Emmy Award and a Billboard Award for his music. Some of his best albums include Latin Jazz Train, Swinging, Danzon and more. So that was some insight into the biography of Arturo Sandoval. More details coming up. Also coming up, some trending festival and album news. And this is the Weekend Jazz Update with Yashani Selva. On this week's episode, Arturo Sandoval. During this hour, we are going to be talking about his biography. Arturo Sandoval was born in Havana, Cuba on November 6, 1949. His musical journey was largely inspired by trumpeter Dizzy Gillespie, whose fusion of Cuban music with jazz was one of the pioneering works of his time. Sandoval went on to become one of the most influential trumpeters of his time. He started playing the trumpet at age 12 and soon made a name for himself with his dazzling technique, technical brilliance and ability to play upper register notes with amazing ease. In the early 70s, he led his own group called Ira. A few years later, he toured the world, notably alongside Dizzy Gillespie. Also, his technique with the flugelhorn was unparalleled. Sandoval's trumpet playing has won him several accolades. He's won 10 Grammy Awards and 19 Grammy nominations. He's also known for his versatility. His music ranges from Latin, jazz, bebop and more. Also, his collaborations, which range from Dizzy Gillespie to Josh Groban to Alicia Keys, have made him a pioneering musician of this day and age. Sandoval is also known for his mesmerizing stage performances. He's toured nationally and internationally, also at the Grammys, the Emmys and the Billboard Awards. He has a unique energy and an ability to connect with audiences at a deeply emotional level. He's also a legendary pianist and has played the keyboard at symphony orchestras around the world. One of his best compositions, Concerto for Trumpet and Orchestra, is a jazz classic today. Also, Sandoval has composed film soundtracks. Some of the films he's composed music for include At Middleton, The Perez Family and 61. One of his soundtracks was nominated for a Grammy, a beautiful Latin melody composed for the TV show Mambo Kings. He's also an avid teacher. He's conducted workshops around the world in the spirit of promoting music to aspiring talent worldwide. Arturo Sandoval's legacy is rooted in his brilliant trumpet playing, diverse range and compositional skills. In 2000, there was a film made about his biography called For Love of Country, the Arturo Sandoval story. Sandoval himself wrote the soundtrack for the movie, which went on to win him an Emmy Award. And welcome back to the Weekend Jazz Update with Yashani Selva. On this week's episode, Arturo Sandoval, his life and times and best hits. Now it's time for some trending album news. Now trending on the Billboard Jazz charts, a great album called Love Deluxe by Sade. This one's a great album featuring a mix of jazz and soul and contemporary influences. Also very captivating singing on the tracks. The singer is singing very soulfully about themes like love and loss and heartbreak. Many of them are based on personal experiences. One special feature of the album are the beautiful bass and saxophone solos. Many of the songs are sung through the eyes of different characters. This album is all about melancholy themes like love and loss and longing, and the impact that those experiences have on people. Songs like Mermaid, Like a Tattoo, Pearls and more. No Ordinary Love, by contrast to the overall theme, is a beautiful uplifting song. Like a Tattoo features some great Spanish rhythms and a beautiful piano melody. Pearls is a very differently themed song. This one's about hardship and brokenness. It's full of haunting, heart-rending melodies. So that was some trending album news on the Weekend Jazz Update with Yashani Silva. We're going for a short break. We'll be right back after that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some of Arturo Sandoval's best albums of all time. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Weekend Jazz Update with Yashani Silva. On this week's show, Arturo Sandoval, a leading trumpeter and composer. During this hour, we're going to be talking about some of his best albums of all time. Here's a quick recap of what's coming up. The first one's called Swinging. This one was released in 1996. On this album, Sandoval takes us through some great original compositions and covers of jazz classics. There's a range of styles and moods portrayed through the music. The songs range from fast to slow to nostalgic to contemporary to vintage. Another album called Tumbaito. This one's a mix of Afro-Cuban and Latin themed songs. Sandoval's on top form on trumpet, flugelhorn and piano. The album features covers of classics like A Night in Tunisia and some of his own compositions like the title track Los Elefantes, Nuestro Blues and more. Another album called Danzon. This album won him a Grammy in 1994. It's a compilation of Latin themed songs. Also some great compositions by Sandoval himself like the title track. So that was some insight into what's coming up during this hour, and you're tuned into the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. We'll be right back after some music. Stay tuned. Welcome to the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this week's show, Arturo Sandoval, a leading trumpeter and composer. During this hour, we're going to be talking about some of his best albums. Here's a quick recap of what's coming up. The first album is called Swinging. This one was released in 1996. On this album, Sandoval takes us through some great original compositions and covers of jazz classics. There's a range of styles and moods portrayed through the music. The songs range from fast to slow to nostalgic to contemporary to vintage. Another album called Tumbaito. This one's a mix of Afro-Cuban and Latin theme songs. Sandoval's on top form on trumpet, flugelhorn and piano. The album features covers of classics like Night in Tunisia and some of his own compositions like the title track, Los Elefantes, Nuestro Blues and more. Another album called Danzon. This album won him a Grammy in 1994. This one's a compilation of Latin theme songs. Also some great compositions by Sandoval himself like the title track. On this week's show, Arturo Sandoval, a leading trumpeter and composer. During this hour, we're going to be talking about some of his best albums. The first one's called Swingin', released in 1996. So many of Sandoval's albums are Latin jazz, this one's different. It's full of great original compositions and swinging classics. There's also some great guest appearances. For instance, there's Eddie Daniel, he chips in on the title track and on Dizzy Atmosphere. There's tenor saxophonist Michael Brecker. He's got a lightning solo on the song Real McBop. There's Terry Clark, a whiz on both trumpet and flugelhorn. He and Sandoval swing back and forth between the instruments, great interplay between them. Also, some of the songs are Sandoval's original compositions. Streets of Desire, passionate song where he plays exclusively piano. This one's a beautiful, haunting song. A song that takes us back to the good old days of yore when Sandoval and many others like Louis Armstrong were starting out in New Orleans blues clubs called It Never Gets Old. So this album is a great showcase of the breadth and depth of Sandoval's style. The songs range from fast to slow to nostalgic to contemporary to vintage. One of the best songs on the album is the song Real McBop. This one won Arturo a Grammy the same year. A great song that plays out with trumpet, sax and the entire group orchestrals in the backdrop. It's a very fast-paced bop song. Also, Arturo Sandoval was a big fan of Dizzy Gillespie. One of the songs on the album is a tribute to him. It's called Dizzy Atmosphere. Another album called Tumbaito. This one's a great album full of funky melodies. He's got a great lineup backing him like George Reyes, Reynaldo Valera and others. There's a great classic called A Night in Tunisia. Arturo Sandoval adds to that song in his portrayal of it with one of his own compositions, a song called Tunisian Blues. It's a very beautiful melody. The song starts off with Tunisian blues, then morphs into the jazz classic. Arturo shows off some great solo trumpet playing here. He's got some unique renditions of songs like Nuestro Blues, which is portrayed with a more funky feel. Los Elefantes plays out in different styles, starts off with a baroque feel, then gives way to a more funky sound. A song called Relax, which sees Arturo playing exclusively piano. Piano playing was one of his greatest feats apart from trumpet playing. The song's an interesting deviation from the other songs where he plays trumpet. The album closes on a very groovy note. This album is Sandoval's second album after he arrived in USA from Cuba in 1960, and it gives us a glimpse into everything that he was as a trumpet player. He was famous for his upper register notes, and there's a lot of songs with that style here. Also, his amazing technique on flugelhorn. So this album was recorded during a live performance, and the inclusion of electronic music in the album is also great. His playing is very intense, however there's also moments of nostalgia and reflection. Another album called Danzon, released in 1994. This was a great Latin jazz album. It won him a Grammy for Best Latin Jazz Album in 1994. Critics have hailed in high regard Sandoval's trumpet playing and also singing on the tracks. He's very emotional on the trumpet melodies, even on very complex passages. The highlights of the album, the various styles and themes from Latin and Afro-Cuban rhythms. Also some great compositions by Sandoval himself like the title track. Some of the songs are great dance tracks, others are nostalgic songs to relax to. He's also joined by a great guest list, people like Vicky Carr, Bill Cosby and Gloria Estefan on the music. And welcome back to the Weekend Jazz Update with Jashanti Silva. On this week's episode, Arturo Sandoval, his biography and best hits. Now it's time for some trending festival news. There's a great jazz festival in DC. This one's called Columbia Pike Blues Festival, and it's all about celebrating the spirit of jazz in New York City. It's taking place on June 14th from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. The festival is bringing together great musicians from all over the city in a vibrant celebration of local talent. The festival happens every year and attracts thousands to its celebrations for live blues music, food festivities and more. And especially celebrating the blues scene in New York City. Many of the musicians have been staple performers in the area for decades. Some names from previous concerts include Sonny Landreth, Nicky Hill, Anna Popovic, Betty Lavette and more. Here's some names from this week's lineup. A popular local jazz group called Everyday Everybody, known for great jazz, funk, soul and Afrobeat rhythms. Also a great blues guitarist called Saul Roots, who toured the world with his blues, soul and funk music. For more information, please visit www.columbia-pike.org/bluesfest. So that was some trending festival news on the weekend jazz update with Jashanti Silva. We're going for a short break. We'll be right back after that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about more of Arturo Sandoval's best albums of all time. Stay tuned.